government. So we're looking forward, Chair, to your guidance and criticism, because you are our mirror as National Treasury for us to look at ourselves on whether are there additional things that we need to do. South Africans rely on you to be their voices in taking a critical look at all sections of government to make sure that we manage the public finances in the interest of all South Africans. That's all I can say at this stage, Chair. I'm looking forward to further deliberations on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, Deputy Minister DG. Let's move to the next item of honorable members of Parliament to engage the presentation by the Minister. Alan and Kuruleko, can you assist me in identifying members who will want to speak through the platform? I haven't received a single member here. Can also members indicate if they've got challenges in regard to raising their hands through Alan, Kululeko, Comrade Karim, and myself? I see Honorable George, Honorable Dion George, Louis. Okay. Honorable George, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon, colleagues. Thanks very much for the presentation. It is quite clear. We have already seen that there has been a large amount of corruption already in the procurement of PPE. Now, of course, this is anecdotal evidence that seems to be coming out now. Now, that's clearly an enormously big problem, and I'm sure we want to eradicate that. But given that we are in this crisis and that there is now corruption in this PPE procurement process, I would like to know from the Treasury is what active steps are they going to actually take? So, for example, I mean, you know, when it's become clear that people are making huge amounts of money from this process, when it becomes clear that that's happening, what are they going to do about it? I mean, it's all good and well to say, well, we don't like it, etc. But the fact of the matter is that there needs to be action. And I think that's the key thing. So those individuals that we certainly believe are already stealing from the people under these terrible conditions, what steps are going to be taken there? Thanks, Chair.
Thanks. It will be Honorable Louis, Honorable Ryder, Honorable Murolong, Honorable Shvambu, Honorable Abrams, Akbare, Voter, Vessels, and then later I'll call for others who will want to speak. Honorable Louis, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to the Minister and to the DG and his team for coming. I just want to refer to slide 13, where you talk about the new controls being considered for implementation. Firstly, my question is, the Minister has said that he would like departments and provincial governments to publish details of PPE contracts and the names of the companies that win those contracts, the names of the companies who do not win those contracts and why not, and so on and so forth. I just would like a specific commitment on the timeline for this instruction. The sooner the better, obviously. So I would like a specific commitment as to when the Treasury or the Minister will issue that instruction for the publication of all those details. Secondly, COSATU has not presented to us, but they have sent through a submission, which I have read through, and they complain about the fact that they wrote to the Minister warning of some of these things and making some of these proposals as far back as May, and received no reply from the Minister's office. And I must say that this is a common experience of the lack of basic professionalism or courtesy from the Minister's office. I also wrote to the Minister in May proposing the creation of a Special Inspector General for COVID expenditure with powers to interdict and act proactively to stop some of the things that we now see being exposed, and also received no reply. In fact, one really struggles to ever get a reply from the Minister's office on any official correspondence. So I wonder whether the Minister could just please let us know how he would like members of Parliament and important stakeholders to interact with his office officially, and why his office never replies to correspondence about these matters. Because some of those proposals that COSATU made and that we made as far back as May could have stopped what we are seeing now, because this was entirely predictable. When you have an enormous sum of money flowing quickly without proper procurement processes, because it's done under emergency procurement regulations, it's absolutely inevitable that that corruption will happen. So these things should have been foreseen rather, and we did write to him about that. Then I would just say that, you know, the Deputy Minister has made the point that there has been an enormous breakdown in public trust as a result of this. It really can't be underscored enough just how severe the impact on public trust in the government and the National Treasury and obviously as well the governing party has been as a result of these scandals. And I do think it is important that the President himself addresses Parliament on this matter. And I do not think that it's adequate. While it is obviously important, and we appreciate the Minister's willingness to come and account on these matters today, I do think that it is a matter that requires the attention of the President and the explanation of the President to Parliament as well. That's it for now. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Luke. Hello. Okay, Honorable Ryder.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yeah, I think at the outset, let me say well done to the Minister and Deputy Minister and DG for appearing today, and well done to yourself for calling for this so urgently, Mr. Chair. I think that puts you in a different category from some of the other people, because I'm going to move on immediately and say, please excuse me if I appear a little bit agitated and angry, because we're just coming out of a 9.5-hour session in the NCOP yesterday where we passed the budget. In doing so, it was incredibly obvious that the majority of the African National Congress members in the NCOP have become totally tone deaf and haven't heard what people are saying, what the public is saying. Honourable Hill-Lewis has just mentioned the fact that there's been a loss of trust. There's been a massive swell of anger that's forward, and the response is largely tone deafness, because the reality is that everyone is now angelic. It appears that none of the members who sat through the National Assembly in the last term and sat through 8 votes of no confidence in the ex-president, now they're all standing up taking an anti-corruption stance all of a sudden. And I mean, you know, people that were actively involved in the disbanding of the Scorpions now standing up and saying, well, you know, no one agrees with corruption and it's got to be stamped out. It's all lip service, Mr. Chair and Mr. Minister. And the reality is, if you look at the LexisNexis library set for local government, the book that is 4 times thicker than any other law that's included in that is the MFMA and regulations. If you look at the PFMA and regulations and look how thick that is, you look at all the memoranda the Treasury puts out and sends out instructions to government entities on how to procure. All of these regulations are written, and yet we still see failure on a daily basis to bring people to account, to make sure that people are not stealing money that they're not supposed to be. People that are already earning million-rand salaries are just making their lives even fatter and better through absolute abject corruption. And people are sick of it. It's now status forbade. We passed that. We now need to start seeing urgent action. And the reality is, if you haven't got the MFMA and the PFMA in a position where they can allow you to do your job and hold people to account, then there's a massive problem. What's stopping us? Those documents are there. There's a huge amount of paperwork that's gone in. They've been refined over the last 25 years, 26 years, and yet we haven't seen one person arrested and doing proper time for corruption in a senior position in government. So the reality is the only thing that can be stopping it is political will. And I think that this is the issue, Mr. Minister. Your regulations are there. You need to be given teeth. There needs to be something that happens. Look at the Zondo Commission. There's not one arrest come out of it yet. People are, what is that? The NPA doing about it? They say, well, now they've been given additional powers. Whoopee. We need to see some action. This is what South Africans are crying for. We want to see some actual consequences that are happening. And that really is my criticism. I appreciate the work that's gone into the presentation today. I appreciate what's been going on behind the scene. Ultimately, it's just more red tape added to a process. It's just another little hurdle for someone to get over in order to carry on with the corruption that they've gotten away with for so long. And the problem that it's created is that it has become so difficult for the average business to enter into a transaction with government that the only people that are doing so, the only people that are putting their hands up for tenders these days are people that have got nefarious ulterior motives. Because the reality is, to jump through all the hoops that the MFMA and the PFMA and all of the now attached regulations require, to jump through all those hoops has a massive cost implication. And that's why you get a 3 Rand pen costing 23 Rand, and that's a good deal. That's without any corruption. Because the only guys that are prepared to do business with the state are guys that have got people that are going to jump through those hoops, and there's a cost to that compliance. We need to seriously look at how we're dealing with business. Regulations are good, but when it becomes overly burdensome to people and prevents good people from doing business with the state, we really need to look at what we're doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Ryder. Honorable Mrolong.
Well, thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, to say that we are discouraged by rampant corruption associated with the COVID-19 would certainly be an understatement. And of course, we are more interested in consequence management. Let me thank the Minister, the Deputy Minister, and the DG for their presentations. Let me get straight to my questions, Chair. In the first instance, I would want to know why